My wife told me she needed a weekend alone to clear her head, but she wasn't alone. She spent it with her ex at a lake resort while I sat at home thinking she was fighting for us. What she didn't know was that I already knew everything. The messages, the photos, the lies she rehearsed in front of our bathroom mirror. So while she was in another man's arms, I quietly prepared the kind of consequences she never believed I was capable of. By the time she came home on Sunday, tired and smug, her keys didn't fit the door, her cards didn't work, her job wasn't safe anymore, and her entire double life had already collapsed. I didn't scream. I didn't plead. I didn't even ask why. I just let her weekend destroy everything she thought she'd keep forever.
My wife once told me that honesty was the backbone of every marriage. Funny thing is, the night she said that, I later found out she was already lying to me. But let me start at the beginning. Before the lake resort, before the messages, before the silence, in our house grew louder than our voices, back when I still believed our marriage was something worth protecting. I live in Asheville, a quiet mountain town where people wave at strangers and the air smells like pine after every rain. People assume a peaceful place creates a peaceful life. That's a lie. A calm environment just makes the cracks harder to notice. My life with Jenna was predictable in the way most comfortable marriages become. Coffee at 6:15, jackets at the door, kisses on the cheek instead of on the mouth.
We used to laugh. Real laughter. The kind that fills a kitchen and clings to the walls like warm steam. But over time, her laughter thinned out. It became sharper, shorter, almost practiced. Like she was performing happiness instead of feeling it. It started with small things. The kind you ignore because admitting they hurt feels dramatic. She stopped waiting up for me when I worked late. She stopped finishing the TV shows we watched together. She stopped asking how my day was, and when I asked about hers, she'd answer with a kiss on my forehead and the same line every time. Just tired, Eli. Work is crazy. But work wasn't the only thing that changed. Her phone used to sit face up on the counter. Now it lived face down, or in her pocket, or in the bathroom, or anywhere I wasn't. And I told myself I was overthinking. Men do that, you know. We gaslight ourselves. We tell ourselves we're imagining things because the truth might force us to confront what we're terrified to admit. 7 weeks before the lake trip, I walked into our bedroom and saw her suitcase half open on the floor. Clothes tossed in, no organization, no folding, nothing like Jenna. I asked, "You going somewhere?" She didn't turn around. She didn't hesitate. She just said, "Work retreat, last minute." And the scary part? I believed her. Not because it made sense, but because trusting her was easier than imagining she'd betray me. I kissed her goodbye that evening, went to bed alone, and convinced myself she was telling the truth.
But something in my chest tightened that night, a pressure that hadn't been there before. The kind of pressure that tells you a storm is coming. Fast forward to the Friday, she said she needed a solo weekend to clear her mind. She kissed me on the cheek, again, not the mouth, grabbed her bag, and said she'd call once she checked in. She didn't call, she didn't text, she didn't even pretend to care about the promise she made. By 5 p.m., I was sitting at my office desk, staring at blueprints I'd been pretending to read for an hour, and then my phone buzzed. One message from Jenna, just one line that tore apart whatever innocence I still had left. "Don't worry about me, I'm spending the weekend with Cole." Imagine reading that. Imagine the cold rush that hits your ribs all at once. Imagine hearing your own heartbeat louder than the entire world. She didn't even dress it up. No apology, no explanation, just a casual announcement that she was with her ex. The man she swore was just a friend. And then she added the part that made my jaw tighten so hard, I felt the bones grind. We just need closure. Closure. A soft word for ripping open a wound you never deserved. I didn't scream. I didn't call. I didn't send paragraphs asking why. I just sat there staring at my phone, letting the truth finally land. People think heartbreak comes in explosions. Mine came like a slow exhale, calm, steady, final. Because the moment I read that message, I realized something I'd been avoiding for months. My wife had left me long before she packed her suitcase.
I was just the last one to admit it. I typed one response. No anger, no emotion, just a sentence that tasted like the first breath of a new life. Take Monday too, Jenna. You'll need it. And in that moment, something inside me shifted. I wasn't the man she walked over anymore. I wasn't the husband begging for scraps of affection. I wasn't the guy waiting for her to come home and pretend she still loved me. I became someone she didn't expect. Someone she couldn't control. Someone she should have feared. Not because I was angry, but because I was finally done lying to myself.
People always ask me the same question when they hear my story. When did you decide to stop loving her? Truth is, I didn't. I didn't choose to stop loving my wife. She just chose to stop being someone I could love. And that weekend was the moment every illusion finally died. After I sent that message, take Monday too, Jenna, you'll need it. I sat at my desk at work for a long time. The office was almost empty, just the hum of air conditioning and the occasional door closing in the distance. I stared at the blueprints in front of me and realized something strange. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't spiraling. I felt calm. The kind of calm you feel when you finally stop trying to save something that's already burning. On the drive home, the mountains looked darker than usual. The sky was that deep Carolina blue, fading into night. And for the first time in a long time, I drove without turning on the radio. I wanted to hear my own thoughts, raw, unfiltered, unmuted by excuses. It wasn't the first time Jenna crossed a line with Cole. 2 years earlier, I'd caught late-night messages. I miss how easy things used to be. You always understood me better than anyone. I just need someone to talk to who isn't my husband. She swore it was emotional, not physical. She cried. She apologized. She said, I don't want him. I just wanted to feel wanted. And like an idiot who believed in redemption, I forgave her. We went to counseling. We tried date nights. We tried rules about phones and boundaries. I thought we were stronger after that. Turns out, we were just quieter. The problem didn't go away, it just went underground. So when I read that message about the weekend with Cole, it wasn't just betrayal, it was confirmation that the second chance I gave her was nothing but a pause button on the inevitable. When I got home that Friday night, I didn't pour a drink. I didn't tear down our wedding photos. I took off my jacket, set my keys on the counter, and grabbed my phone. There was one person I trusted to tell me the truth without sugarcoating it. Mason Clark. My college friend turned lawyer, the guy who'd watched me defend Jenna for years. I called him. He picked up on the second ring. Hey man, everything good? I let out a breath. No, but it's about to be. I told him everything. The message, the closure, the history with Cole. The second chance she'd already wasted. He was quiet for a moment, then said, You finally ready to stop cleaning up her mess? Yeah, I said. I'm done protecting someone who keeps stabbing the same spot. Mason asked about the house, the accounts, the car, her job. We bought the house after we got married, but the mortgage and deed were in my name. Her car was technically a company car. The joint account was funded mostly by my salary. Her paycheck went into a separate savings account she always called her safety net. I used to think that was smart. Now I saw it for what it was. A lifeboat she planned to use if she ever decided to abandon ship. You don't have to nuke her life, Mason said.
But you also don't have to let her keep all the power. And that's when something clicked in my head. I wasn't looking for revenge, I was looking for balance. After we hung up, I went to the closet in my home office, the one Jenna never bothered with because she said paperwork stressed her out. I pulled out the fireproof lockbox where I kept everything: bank statements, mortgage documents, insurance policies, password lists. The copy of the message history I'd saved the first time she crossed the line with Cole, Jenna always said, "Thank God you handle all that, Eli. I'm useless with money and documents." She said it like a compliment, like I was the responsible one. What she didn't realize was that she had built her entire life on the assumption that I'd never stop using that responsibility to protect her. That night, for the first time, I started using it to protect myself. Saturday morning, I woke up before the sun. The house was too quiet. No sound of Jenna brushing her teeth, no coffee mug clinking on the counter, just Max, our golden retriever, sighing in his sleep at the foot of the bed. I stared at the ceiling for a long time and then reached for my phone. Her social media was the same as always, curated, polished, fake. At around 9 a.m, she posted a story. A peaceful weekend by the lake. Just a glass of wine, a blurred background of water, soft music, no faces. But I'm an engineer. I noticed details in the reflection of the wine glass. You could see part of a man's arm, a familiar tattoo peeking out from under his sleeve. Cole's tattoo. The same one she once told me she barely remembered. That was the moment any remaining doubt died. It's funny. I didn't feel rage. I felt relief. Because now I didn't have to defend her in my own head anymore. The rest of Saturday was methodical. I started with the joint account. I transferred the bulk of the money into an individual account under my name, the same account my checks had always gone into before we got married. I left just enough in the joint account so it wouldn't look suspicious right away, but not enough for her to live comfortably if she decided to run. Then I called the bank, reported my card lost, requested a new one, and asked them to put a hold on the duplicate we'd ordered for her for convenience. Convenience had turned into entitlement. That ended that day. Next, I changed the passwords. Streaming services, cloud storage. The email account she used to sign up for everything using my name. None of it was dramatic, no shouting, no speeches, just quiet keystrokes and confirmations. Every "your password has been changed" notification felt like a brick being removed from the wall she'd built around me. Then I called a locksmith. "Just want to update the locks," I said. I didn't explain, I didn't have to. The guy showed up, changed the front door and the back door, handed me the new keys, and left without asking questions. When he drove away, I stood on the porch for a moment and just breathed. For the first time. The house felt like mine. Not ours. Mine. In the afternoon, I grabbed a stack of cardboard boxes from the garage. I walked through the house room by room and started packing Jenna's things. Her clothes, her framed photos with her friends, the stack of self-help books she never actually finished. I didn't break anything. I folded her clothes neatly. I wrapped fragile items in newspaper because this wasn't about punishing her property. This was about making a clear line between what stayed and what left with her. When I reached our bedroom, I stopped at the nightstand on her side of the bed. There was a small photo of us from our first year of marriage. Jenna in a summer dress, laughing, eyes bright, hand in mine. I stared at it for a long time. Then I put it face down in the box, not smashed.
Not ripped, just finished. I took her wedding dress, and the one she still kept in the garment bag, folded it carefully into a clean plastic storage bag, and laid it on top of her clothes. A symbol of a promise she'd walked away from long before I ever changed a lock. The last thing I did that night was open my laptop. Jenna worked as a marketing manager for a mid-sized firm in town, a job she liked to talk about as if she were irreplaceable. I knew some of her co-workers. I'd even helped them once, consulting on a small structural project for one of their clients. I didn't want to destroy her career, but I also wasn't going to sit silently while she used that company's time and money to cheat on me, on corporate trips that weren't entirely corporate. So I drafted an email. Calm, polite, factual. I listed dates of her travel, copies of messages from the first time she crossed lines with Cole, screenshots of her bragging about turning business trips into mini vacations, and a note that said, I felt it was only fair they had the full picture of how their resources were being used. No accusations, just information. They could make their own decisions. I reread the email twice. Then I hit send, and when that little message sent pop-up appeared, I felt something leave my body, not guilt, not satisfaction, just weight. The weight of years spent shielding Jenna from herself. By the time Saturday night settled in, the house was quiet again, boxes by the door, new keys in my pocket, accounts secured. Max curled up next to me on the couch, resting his head on my leg like he always did when he sensed something was wrong. I ran my hand over his fur and stared at the dark TV screen. Somewhere, a couple of hours away, my wife was laughing in a hotel room with another man. Convinced she was untouchable, convinced I'd be right where she'd left me when she got back. But that version of me, the man waiting, hoping, begging, making excuses for her behavior, he didn't exist anymore. Saturday didn't turn me into someone new. It just let me be the man I should have been a long time ago. Sunday afternoons used to be our quiet time. Coffee. A walk around the lake. Some Netflix show we never finished. Funny how routine can turn into a ghost once the truth kills the person you built it with. That Sunday wasn't quiet. It was the day my wife returned to a home that had already moved on without her. Around 2 p.m., her messages started rolling in. Hey, I'm heading back. Can we talk? Eli, seriously, we need to clear things up. Then a few minutes later, you're being unfair. I told you I needed time. I didn't reply. I was sitting at the small diner downtown, on the one with peeling paint, and the waitress who always called everyone Hun. I ate slow. I wasn't stalling. I just had nothing left to rush home for. At 4:43 p.m.,
I got a call, her name flashing on my screen. I let it ring. 30 seconds later, she called again, then the texts hit all at once. Why won't the key work? Elias, open the door now. What's going on? I could picture her there, hands shaking, tugging the handle, pretending the key was just jammed. She'd always been the type to believe the world would adjust to her mistakes. Not this time. I opened the security app on my phone. There she was, standing on the porch, hair messy from the drive, sunglasses pushed up into her hair, suitcase beside her, and panic creeping across her face frame by frame. She bent down, saw the boxes, the dress bag, the envelope with her name on it. She froze. Then she covered her mouth with her hand, not crying yet, but breaking.
I watched it all in silence, not out of cruelty, but because this was the first time in years she was finally seeing the truth without me having to explain it. She called again. This time, I answered. "Elias, what is this? What did you do?" "I did what you told me to," I said. "Told you? When did I?" "When you left for the weekend. When you left our marriage. When you left me in it alone." She started crying then. The kind of cry that tries to make the listener feel guilty. "I made a mistake. Just let me in so we can talk." I kept my voice steady. "Your things are outside. There's nothing inside for you to come back to. You can't do this." I already did. She switched tactics fast, from crying to apologizing to bargaining to blaming to promising to insisting, all in under 5 minutes. Nothing she said changed the one simple fact: she had walked out first. I just locked the door behind her. I got home around 6:10 p.m. She was still on the porch, sitting on the steps, mascara smudged. When she saw my car pull up, she stood so fast the suitcase toppled over. "Eli, please, just talk to me." I stepped out of the car. She rushed toward me, hands reaching for my arm, but I stepped back. "Don't," I said. That one word made her crumble. "Elias, it wasn't like that. I just needed clarity. I needed space." "You needed him," I said. She froze.
The truth landed harder than any insult could. No, it wasn't like that. It was just..." I cut her off. "A mistake. A moment of weakness. Closure. You picked the version. I'm done choosing for you." She grabbed my arm again, harder this time. Desperate. "I love you." I looked her in the eye, and for the first time since I married her, I didn't feel anything. "You love what I gave you, not me." That broke her more than any door lock ever could. I nodded toward the boxes. "Open the envelope." She hesitated, then slowly tore it open. Inside was a single sheet of paper, a list of everything she had done over the weekend that she didn't know I knew. The messages, the screenshots, the reflection of coal in the wine glass, the hotel reservation, the charges from her company card, and at the bottom, one single line: "You chose this. I'm just following your lead." Her knees buckled. She sat down on the steps slowly, eyes wide, breath shaking. "Elias, what did you do?" "I stopped pretending." "To them? To my job? What did you send?" "Enough truth for them to make their own decisions." She started sobbing, not because of guilt, but because for the first time she realized she wasn't untouchable. She stood up again, a frantic shaking, but switching from begging to blaming like a spinning coin, trying to land on the side that saves her. "Eli, we can fix this. We just need time." "I gave you time," I said. "We need to communicate." "I communicated. You lied." "It was a mistake." "No, a pattern." She finally said the one thing she never should have said. "You're being cruel." I laughed once. Not out of humor, but disbelief. "Cruel?" I stepped closer, lowered my voice. "Cruel is leaving your husband to spend the weekend with another man and expecting to come home to the same life. Cruel is lying to my face for months while you kept me as your backup plan. Cruel is making me think I wasn't enough when the truth is you were never capable of being faithful." She shook her head, tears rolling, hands trembling. Please don't end it like this. I didn't end anything." "You did." And I walked past her into the house, she no longer had a place in.
People think the hardest part is the moment you find out. It's not. The hardest part is waking up the next day and realizing you have to choose who you are after the truth breaks you open. Sunday night ended with me closing the door on a woman who once promised forever. Monday morning was the first day I finally walked into my life without pretending. I woke up before my alarm for the first time in months. The bed didn't feel heavy. Jenna used to set 3 alarms, now just silence. The kind that doesn't suffocate, the kind that lets you breathe. I made coffee, didn't pour a second cup, didn't wait for footsteps on the stairs, didn't brace for the tension of another morning where she avoided my eyes. I sat by the kitchen window and watched sunlight roll over the mountains. And for the first time, I felt something I hadn't felt in years, peace that didn't depend on someone else's mood. At 9:14 a.m., I got the email from her company. A short, polite message. Thank you for bringing these concerns to our attention. Ms. Ward has been suspended pending internal review. I stared at the screen for a moment, but there was no thrill, no victory, no feeling of I got her. Just an odd sense of finality, like watching the last domino fall in a line she built herself. 10 minutes later, she started calling. 8 missed calls, 12, 14, then messages. Elias, please answer. They suspended me. What did you send them? Please, I need to explain. I didn't reply.
Not because I wanted to torture her, but because our conversation ended long before she picked up a suitcase and drove to another man's bed. Around noon, she sent the final message she ever sent me. I don't know who I am without you. And for a moment, a tiny moment, I felt something tighten in my chest. Not sadness, not longing, just the weight of understanding she hadn't lost me. She'd lost the version of herself she could only exist as in my world. And that was something I couldn't and shouldn't save. That evening, after work, I drove to Beaver Lake. Not the resort she went to, the lake near our old Sunday walking trail. The sun was low, turning the water gold, the kind of gold you only get on a North Carolina summer evening.
I sat on the bench where we used to share sandwiches. Funny how places don't lose meaning, people do. I watched the water ripple, felt the breeze, listened to kids laughing in the distance, and realized I wasn't grieving her. I was grieving the years I wasted convincing myself she would stop hurting me. On the way home, I stopped by the Lakeside Diner, the same place I went the day she came back. Ruby was working again. Mid-30s, warm eyes, the kind of voice that makes the world feel less sharp. She poured me a cup of coffee and asked, "Long day?" I almost laughed. "Long year," I said. She didn't pry, she didn't ask for the story. She just nodded, topped off my cup and said, well, you made it through it?"
Some people don't. And for some reason, that simple sentence felt like someone had opened a window in a room I'd been suffocating in. When I drove home that night, the air felt different. Crisp, cool, light. I rolled down the window and let the breeze hit my face. For months, I'd been drowning in a version of myself she'd trained me to be, forgiving, accommodating, quiet, endlessly patient with someone who treated loyalty like a toy. But now, it felt like I was stepping out of that version, leaving him in the rearview mirror, watching him shrink into the past where he belonged. When I got home, I sat on the porch with Max, who rested his head on my knee like he always did. The sky was turning dark, fireflies blinking in the yard.
And the kind of night you don't forget. And it hit me. Not like a punch, but like a quiet realization settling into place. I didn't need revenge to feel whole. I didn't need her to suffer. I didn't need her to lose everything. I just needed to stop losing myself. The consequences she faced weren't punishment. They were gravity. The natural fall that happens when you keep stepping off cliffs and expecting someone else to catch you. People keep asking me if I'd take her back if she showed up tomorrow begging. The answer is simple. You can't return to a house that burned itself down. And you can't rebuild love on the ashes of a trust someone chose to set on fire. The truth is, I didn't win. I didn't lose. I just walked away from a story that wasn't mine anymore. And as I sat there on the porch, watching the last light fade behind the mountains, I finally understood something that took me far too long to learn. The best kind of revenge is peace.
Some stories don't end with slammed doors, or raised voices, or dramatic goodbyes. Some stories end quietly, the moment a man chooses himself over the person who broke him. Elias didn't win by hurting her. He won by finally remembering who he was before the lies, before the excuses, before the years he spent trying to save a marriage only he was fighting for. And sometimes, the strongest thing a person can say is nothing at all. Not because they're weak, but because they're done. If you've ever walked away from someone who treated your loyalty like a backup plan, then you already know the truth Elias learned. The best revenge isn't destruction, it's peace. Thank you for listening to his confession. If this story hit somewhere deep, if it echoed something you've lived, you're not alone. Share your thoughts below and join us next time for another voice, another truth, another confession, here on the Confession Stories.